Hey, everybody, we are back after a little bit of a break, a little tiny one. We all need a break every once in a while.
Little bit,
It
little bit.
is, yeah, just a little bit. It is Sunday, October 1st, 2023, and you are listening to episode 29 of Black Box Signal. We've made it 29 episodes. Woot woot.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm your host, as always, steering this thing straight into the ground, Chase Johnson. And then always the person who grabs the wheel at the last second, make sure we don't crash, Dustin Miller. How's it going?
Try my best to patch those holes.
Right.
Oh, great. How are you?
Doing good. I just noticed in my camera I've got like this farmer's tan going on because I never wear tank tops. But hey, it's fucking hot all of a sudden outside. So we've had some nice like 60 degree, 50, 60 degree days. And then this weekend and into this week, it just decided to be 80. Like,
I'm so sick of it.
yeah, I am too. I love.
Give me cold.
So yeah, you love the winter.
Mhm.
That's your favorite season. So I always say that my favorite season technically is summer, but that is only because here in Michigan, fall is too short.
That's true.
Like I feel like we get a good week of like that in between crisp fall weather, and then it goes right into winter. And that's why I like it's I love summer with a caveat that if fall lasted longer here, it would be fall.
See, I like fall, but I mostly prefer winter, mostly because of the same reason as you, is that it just doesn't last long. But
Right.
also, I get hot very quickly and very easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so nice, cool weather is great. Like
And I'm the
Jess,
one. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just saying, my fiance always gets mad at me when like I'm still wearing shorts and it's like mid-November, almost December.
Right. Right. I'm gonna turn you up a little bit. There we go. Um. So yeah, we took a little bit of time off. Because we had a busy weekend last weekend.
Yeah,
Uh, we had
and
somebody's bachelor party.
it was
Uh,
mine.
it was man.
It was mine.
Um.
I got a little toasty that night. I got very toasty.
Yeah, I drank for the first time in like 3 years and was able to still drive you home. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it was great. You also took me to Taco Bell, which was awesome.
yeah,
I
yeah,
had like two or three of those things in that box, and then immediately like started passing out. So I was
right.
like, "Ah, I'm gonna eat it."
Those drinks were good.
Oh,
I kept having the raspberry berets. Those
mm-hmm,
were good.
mm-hmm.
And then Dexter, my son, turned 1 on Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago now, technically.
Yeah.
But we celebrated his birthday with the family on Sunday. We rented out a little room at a little bowling alley. Oh, that has an arcade that
Ooh.
my daughter loves to play at. So we did that. He got spoiled, which is good because we pretty much spent all the money on the party and the cake. So we were like, everybody else spoil him. And this is not an offensive gift. Um, I welcome this. We also got a huge ass pack of diapers. That was a gift more for us, for the parents, but I
I
was
think that's a viable
somebody
gift.
said I think I can't remember who got them for us, but I remember somebody was like diapers for a gift, and I was like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
diapers are
yeah.
fucking expensive.
It's
Um,
also very useful.
very useful. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. He's not going to be potty trained till probably at least 3. So, or if he's anything like my daughter, almost 4. Um, um, yeah, I remember the story. We technically enrolled her in preschool before she could do number 2. They're like, she's
Mhm.
potty trained, right? We're like, yeah, she totally is. And I was like,
Uh-oh.
all right, we have the summer to get this down." She got it down, luckily, but oh man,
Nice, nice.
that's funny. Um, but yeah, so yeah, we took a little bit of time off. Um,
Cool.
I just want to bring this up because I know you're a movie buff, and I kind of was texting you about it last night. We watched Elemental over the weekend for our family
Mhm.
movie night on Friday. I was not expecting much. Like I saw some previews for it, and I was like, man, that movie is fucking good. I really enjoyed it, especially at, like the last few straight Pixar joints. I've kind of been like, eh, but this
Mhm.
one was like really good. Uh,
So, All I'll say is, I watched it too.
Yeah.
Um,
You didn't like it, did
I
you?
no, I can't say
You can't
the
say?
the the actors are still on strike, so I'm refusing to
Oh, yeah. Well, didn't
yeah.
they wrap that up? Well, the writers wrapped up the
Only the
strike.
writers,
Only the
the
writers.
actors are still on
That's right,
strike.
that's right, that's right, that's right. Yep, yep,
They
yep.
meet tomorrow for potentially good news.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, at least the writers got I saw that they won their end.
Yes.
So
Oh my
that
god,
is
it was huge.
awesome.
Uh,
Absolutely
if it
awesome.
if it wraps up tomorrow for the actors, I will 100% give my review on that movie because I love movies.
That's right. Right. You can give it to me in private.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, uh, but yeah, I I thought it was good. As a guy who isn't that big of a movie buff, I just kind of see whatever my daughter picks for us to see. So
Honestly, it was kinda shocking when I got that text from you saying, like, you really enjoyed it
yeah, I
because of that reason of, like, you just don't usually like movies that much.
yeah, it's not that I don't like movies, it's that like I just don't watch a lot of movies. Um
That's fair, that's fair.
it it's I grew up playing video games, which speaking of, do you want to get into we've got a pretty loaded episode. Do you want to get into
That's
games?
an awesome segue, yeah, let's do it.
Great segue this week. All right. Do you want to kick it off? Do I want to kick it off? Do we
Um, I can kick it off.
Yeah, yeah, go for it. Uh
Um, so I've only really been playing, like, 3 games. Um,
Me too. Me too.
I played Armored Core 6, which is still a lot of fun, but I've been finding myself spending a lot more time in the paint shop than
Yep.
actually doing the missions.
Yep.
If you check my Twitter, uh, I have one up right now, and I haven't posted the other one, but basically I tried to make Power Ranger Megazords.
Mhm.
I made the SPD Delta Megazord as my first like dual wielding pistol Megazord, and is by far like one of my favorites, or I guess Armored Core. It is definitely one of the greatest ones I have. And then I did the tank treads, and I made the old school Dino Megazord from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, um, in its like tank form, and it's a beefy one. It's very beefy.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Um
Uh,
yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit, but before I got rid of it, we'll get to that. I was making like Gundams.
hmm
So I was making like I made an X well, I renamed the Exia the Double O, because after I
Okay.
put the stuff on it, it looked more like the Double O. And then
Okay.
I made a heavy arms custom, the Endless Waltz version. That's the green one.
hmm
So I made that. But yeah, dude, you've been sending me those, and I think I still have the text your phone when you're like, I think I found my calling.
Well, it's because, like, if you, like, look closely, there's decals, like, all over it
Right?
where,
Yeah.
like
Well, I was
where
zooming
I
in.
had to
I was
yeah, where I had to physically sit there and go into like, the image editors and, like, meticulously put little shapes in to make other things. Like, if you look at the SPD one, the shield that's on, like, the forehead, like, if you go into the image editor, it only allows you like 125, 128 like shapes and images into it to make a bigger image. I
right.
think I used 120 to make that.
Oh man. So
Yeah.
you about maxed it out.
I about maxed it out.
Yeah.
It took me like 3 hours to make that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying the customization of it more than the
Yes.
gameplay at this point.
I've started playing a few more missions just so I can get more items.
Right.
Because as I unlock more items, that's where like my gears start turning, and I start thinking of like different mechs from different shows. And that's where like the tank mode from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came in. So yeah.
Nice. Nice. And then you've got the teal mask on here.
Yes. So the Teal Mask is the DLC, the first part of DLC for
Oh,
Pokemon.
that's right. See, I was
Yeah.
like the teal mask. What's that? And I'm like Pokemon. Duh. Now that you
Yeah. Yeah.
said DLC.
I played the whole thing. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. Didn't add a whole lot to it. The story was pretty entertaining. I think the new legendaries are pretty sweet. I think Ogrepon is probably one of my favorites. recently. It just has like a really cool design. Its move is awesome. Its gimmick is great. Um, Overall, it was fun but short.
Gotcha.
Um, I'm waiting for part two to come out. We don't have a release date yet, though. They're saying winter of 2023. So a lot of people are picturing like November. We might get it.
Okay.
Um, but other than that, I've been playing Sea of Stars more. I got back into just sitting down playing it. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
There was a huge twist that happened when I was playing it, and I think like that was the significant part of like, okay, I'm done with Act One. Now I'm starting Act Two, and it's just so much fun.
Nice. Yeah,
It,
I watched I can't remember her name right now, but I watched somebody finally play some of that
mhm.
on stream. Um and it looks really cool. It
it,
looks
it's
I
it's
love
very
the
cool.
art. The art style looks really
It's
awesome.
also like I gotta give credit to it about it's a full fledged game. It's a massive game, and it's only $35.
Yeah.
And if you have Xbox Game Pass, it's on there.
Nice. So that's
Yeah,
just
I
like
don't
a
know about PlayStation because I don't have that, but
yeah, I'm about to not have it soon either.
mhm.
It literally runs out I think at the end of January and then that's it for that.
I
But
will say I did jump into some Party Animals to
okay.
check it out. That I want to play a lot with that.
Yeah.
Just get a bunch of people together to play because that was a lot of fun.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That looks a lot of fun too. I think I saw I follow some WWE wrestlers on Twitch and some AEW wrestlers, and I want to say Dakota Kai. She was playing it on stream, and I just popped into her stream, and she was playing it. Yeah,
You would really like it because it is kind of reminiscent of like just goofy ass wrestling.
yeah,
You have punches, you have headbutts, and you have kicks, and it's a ton of fun.
yeah, for sure. Um, well, what I've been playing is I've been playing, I haven't had enough Final Fantasy this year with 16, so I streamed some Final Fantasy 1, like last Sunday or the Sunday before that, something like that. Um, about midway through that, I'll probably finish it up this week because I have the week off, and I just decided for the hell of it, I'm probably gonna do some day streams, whether people show up or not, whatever.
Might as
But
well.
I've got the time, so figured like while Violet's in school and Dexter's just sleeping, I'll just do some early to midday streams of that and
Cool.
hopefully bang that
Cool.
out. I turned back on the modern or the updated music just because I got
Yeah.
after a while I got sick of that 8-bit music was getting a little grating. It's good for like obviously
Oh
for
yeah.
8-bit music, but then I was like, all right, this is getting real repetitive. So I switched it over to I think they call it the orchestral soundtrack.
Mhm.
Um so I started playing that. And then because of the Sony showcase that we talked about with Zach when he was on the podcast, and your boy is broke, I played what I wanted to of Armored Core and traded it in.
Ah,
And
it's all right. It's all right.
it's because they finally announced the dates for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Mhm.
So I pre-ordered that, got like $18 on that, and then the deluxe edition because I'm a broken person. Um, and then and don't worry, this is gonna lead into what I'm playing, everyone. Um,
Okay. Okay.
I
Okay.
also pre-ordered Persona 3 Reloaded. I'm a pretty big Persona fan. However, I've only played Persona 5. Persona 5 was like my first Persona game and it sucked me in and everyone was like, "Oh, you got to play all the other ones before it." But they're really hard to get. But they're
Mhm.
remaking Persona 3. So I pre-ordered that and because of that, I re-downloaded Persona 5 cuz it's free on PS Plus.
Oh,
Um instead of playing new stuff, I re-downloaded a game from like 4 or 5 years ago. Um and I'm playing that and I am having fun cuz Persona is fucking awesome.
you
Uh
should you should have just downloaded one of the games on the PlayStation Plus.
I did technically Persona 5. It was
No,
just
a
one of the
different game. This is a conversation I have with Krumi Lava all the time. She's like,
yeah.
"I wanna play a game." I'm like, "Okay, download a game." And she downloads, like, the same game that she's been playing for, like, 3 years.
Mhm.
And she's
Yeah.
like I'm like, "No, play a new game." It's like, no,
Yes.
I like
So
it.
I've been playing a lot of Persona. I'm that game is really long. It's like a traditional JRPG where it's like close to 100 hours.
Hmm.
So I've played 4 hours and haven't even done my first dungeon yet. Um
Jesus
yeah, it's
Christ.
just setting everything up, but I've been running around town and doing my schoolwork and if you know anything about the Persona series, it's literally like if you want to live a slice of life anime mixed with let's do crazy stuff at night. That's pretty much what it is. The art style is like super anime. Um, like I said, during the day you are you go to school, you talk to some people. Sometimes you answer some actual test questions. Sometimes you have exams that you have to take. And then like after school, I haven't unlocked this ability yet because I'm still really early on in this. I've played this before, but I really was itching to play it again. You get to like kind of run around. You can get a part-time job. You can go to the arcade, go to batting cages, travel around Tokyo. Like you can go to Shibuya, you can go to Akihabara, like an anime version of it, like smaller condensed version of it, but
Hmm.
it's still kind of cool. And then at night you get to invade somebody's heart and try to get them to stop being shitty. Um,
Okay.
I guess spoilers for like spoilers for a really old ass game at this point, so I guess it doesn't matter. Um, the first dungeon, the whole premise of the game is you're trying to go around to get people to have a change of heart, which will cause them to confess the bad shit that they're doing. So the first one, naturally, because you just got to a new school, is there's this gym teacher who is a piece of shit. Everybody
Hmm.
loves him because he's an Olympic gold medalist and he's taken the volleyball team to the finals, like to nationals, like multiple years in a row. So everybody loves him, but he's abusive to his players and he's trying to sexually assault female students. So trigger warning for
Oh,
that. So
okay.
you're basically trying to go into every time you go into the person's heart, you it the wherever they're at like manifests to what they think of the place. So uh when you go into, I'll just say his name, Kamoshida's heart,
Hmm.
um the school manifests in a castle and he views himself as the king. Um
Oh,
so
I
he's
love
got,
the symbolism of this.
yes. So he has like all the volleyball students are like in the dungeon getting tortured because he's like overly abusive of his players
Hmm.
in the real world. It's all a reflection of that. And to get them to have a change of heart, you have to steal the treasure that is buried deep in the castle. Um,
Okay.
and it's not always a castle. Like I believe later on, one's like an art gallery. There's one that's like a factory. Just multiple different ones. But just to show for this guy, it's like he views the school as his castle because everybody worships him and worships the ground that he walks on, and he can do no wrong. So you're going there. If you steal their treasure, it causes them to have a change of heart and feel guilt and confess to their crimes. Because
Okay.
as of right now, like this guy, like the parents know that he's being abusive, the principals knows that he's being abusive, but because he's a high profile guy and stuff like that, they're just sweeping it under the rug to say, hey, we
Hmm.
have an ex gold medalist, at our school, kind of like in
Sounds
the
a
real world.
little sounds a little too real. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of what you're doing at night. So you have like the slice of life stuff during the day, and then at night you're going and invading what they call the palace, because each one is called a palace. That's like the
Hmm.
catch-all term for all of them. And
Okay.
trying to steal the treasure. And all the battles are turn-based. You each person has a persona, but the gimmick for this one that your main character has is he can actually negotiate and capture other personas. So it kind of has like a Pokemon element to it. Um,
That's pretty cool.
because like the persona that I have right now, because it's early on, I just have one is focuses on like curse spells. Um and there's spells for like every element. There's like fire, there's wind, water, holy,
Okay.
like a ton of different ones. Physical. Um so you can kind of go around and capture different personas, and then you can actually fuse personas together to make different personas. Um
That's pretty cool.
and you fuse them by beheading both of them. It's so
That's
weird.
not cool.
Yeah, you literally put them in a bag, put them both into a guillotine, and behead both of them, and then it fuses them. Uh, yeah, Persona's always been
All
really
right.
messed up
All
like
right.
that when it comes to when you summon your Persona, you have this mask that's fused to your face, and you rip it off, and it, like, causes you to, like, bleed and stuff, and,
Hmm.
then your Persona is summoned. And I guess in Persona 3, how you summon your Persona is you shoot yourself in the head. So
Yeah, I remember you telling me
yeah,
about
so
that.
that'll be interesting. But yeah, I've just been playing a bunch of that. That's kind of been like my off stream in between these next few games that are coming out. What I've been kind of chipping away at. Um,
Yeah.
but I did play something new,
Proud of you.
and so is Shauna. Shauna was going to be here for this episode, but we just couldn't figure that out, and the kids and yada yada yada. She'll give a ringing endorsement though. So far,
Okay.
I've been
Okay.
playing Mortal Kombat 1. Um,
Ooh.
I am on chapter 11 of the story right now and has 15 chapters. And then I hope to kind of dive into some of the I think it's called the conquest mode or something like that that you can go and
Yeah.
do these like little they're like seasonal challenges. Um
Mhm.
but I've been mostly playing the story right now. I will say what everyone else has said, Megan Fox is terrible. And I'm not even like necessarily like a hardcore hater of Megan Fox. I know she's not the best, but she is so terrible in this. Like god awful. Um, the story's really cool though. It kind of flips the script. I think I've said this when we were kind of like talking about it before it came out. So all this is pretty well known, but like Liu Kang is now the god and Raiden is like the young fighter, so it flips that script around. Um,
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sub Zero and Scorpion are now brothers in the same clan instead of being rivals. Um,
Okay.
let's see what else. I'm trying to go kind of spoiler light
I
here.
I think I think the question here though is where do you rank in Mortal Kombat?
Ooh, that's real hard because like I like all of them for different reasons. It's really hard for me to rank.
Because I've been hearing like really, really good things.
It.
I was hearing you talk about it a little bit on Bachelor Night, but full honesty, I was a little too drunk to pay attention to it.
I hear
Um,
you. Um,
um,
it's it's up there. It's pretty high up
okay.
there. Like I would say it's better than 10 or X. I didn't play 11, so I can't really count to that. On par with 9 maybe, possibly better than 9 just cuz I don't know what
Okay.
to expect because
Mhm.
it's like a completely new story. The other thing that's different is like
True.
Sindel is good instead of being Shao Kahn's evil empress. She's the good empress and she's the leader of Outworld, and Shao Kahn is a general underneath her or General Shao. So
Interesting.
the story is kind of this is a light spoiler, but the story is kind of like if I would go over the overall plot, is basically like Shao Kahn and Shang Tsung and Quan Chi are all plotting to kind of overthrow her as Empress and take over Outworld and kind of set the timeline right to how it was supposed to be originally. Versus
Oh,
Liu Kang.
okay.
Kind Liu Kang purposely put everybody in a position to where like this wasn't supposed to happen again. Like in the
Mhm.
opening cutscene, now this isn't really that big of a spoiler because it's the opening cutscene. Shang Tsung is like a snake oil salesman instead of a sorcerer. Like he's literally like this poor like merchant selling like fake remedies.
Interesting. Okay.
And later on they allude that Quan Chi was like a slave to these mines. So he purposely put them in positions to where they wouldn't gain power again, but they're
Mhm.
still gaining power again because there's I haven't met her yet, but there's an unknown benefactor kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes that trying to reset everything in the way that it originally was.
Okay.
But
Okay.
my
So
favorite character right now to play as is Lee May. She's really fucking awesome. She's the girl that can like control like fireworks. That's like her power, and it's
hmm,
like way cooler than Jubilee from X-Men if I'm being honest. She um I'm just being honest. She's got a really good
I'm not
moveset.
saying shit. I'm not.
She's got a real good move set. She's pretty quick. And what I like about the story mode is kind of like the last few is each chapter you play as somebody else.
Hmm.
So, like the first chapter you're playing as Kung Lao, and then like you play as Johnny Cage, right? And kind of goes through all the characters. So by the end of it, you kind of have a feel for how everyone plays, and then you know who you want to main. Um, right now
Okay.
though, Lee May is at the top of that list. She's really fucking good. But
So
I just got
I guess when you finally beat the game, I'll ask you again where you is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Story wise though, I'm really liking it so far. It's
Okay.
definitely putting an interesting twist on everything. Baraka, who's the guy with all the teeth.
Hmm.
He used to be human in this one, and that what turned him into that was an actual plague that's going around.
Huh.
And Melina has it because Melina underneath it has that too.
Right.
But
Right.
she's trying to hide it from everybody because she's the heir to the throne. So there's that little interesting thing. She keeps like injecting herself with medicine to get it to kind of like go down and like but then she'll have periods where it like will flare up and she's just going berserk and like doesn't recognize anybody as friend or foe. She just wants to kill everything.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, it's really cool. Oh, Johnny Cage is a washed up actor. That's really funny. Like he's
That's hilarious.
the opening cutscene of his chapter is he's playing like a shitty Indiana Jones. And you're literally
Okay.
like fighting, and then like after the three fights you get through, it goes cut, and it was like a movie set the whole time. Like you,
That's funny.
um, but he's like down and out. Like his girlfriend or his wife, I think, comes up to him and is like, "We need to stop spending so much money." He's like, "But I'm Johnny Cage, baby. I gotta hold up the facade." And then she's like, "But I didn't marry Johnny Cage. I married John Carlton." So like hinting that like that's not even his real name. Like you changed it for like a stage name, and
That's funny.
he's like going up to the director of the movie that he's in after the dude yells cut, and he's like, "So I've got this idea for a movie, a 4-part movie and possible streaming series." And the director's like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go to my trailer now." And it's like just totally blowing him off. He's like the perfect comic relief. Kind of sounds like a low rent Owen Wilson, if I'm being honest. But it's
Okay.
it's he plays it perfectly. He's always like every like 2 seconds, like when they're in something new, he's like, "Oh man, this reminds me of when I'm in insert movie that he was in." Like he's always bringing up the movies that he's in, or like stupid things like, "Whoa, that's no special effect," or like like really stupid stuff. It's really perfect.
That's funny.
But yeah, I just got to the chapter that I'm on right now is with Sindel. So that's who I
Okay.
get to play as is next, which is Shauna's favorite character. So, or at least from the last few, was her favorite character. My
Okay.
favorite character, unfortunately, is behind a paywall, and the DLC for it is $40. And
Who's that?
Ermac, the technically who was
Oh,
the red
okay.
ninja.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was my favorite in 9 and 10 because he was the all my friends and Shauna used to make fun of me because all his powers are telekinetic.
Hmm.
So I could beat the shit out of you without even touching you. Like I would just like
Yes.
throw you around the
Okay.
screen with my mind powers and
So, in other words, not gonna play with you. Got it. Got
yeah.
it. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to pay $40 for I mean it's a group of characters, but the only one that only two I would play as would be Quan Chi and Ermac. I don't see me playing as Homelander. I don't see me playing as Omni Man. I will only play as Peacemaker if he has the John Cena attire on him because I just want to play as John Cena. Um,
Okay. Have you seen Peacemaker?
yes.
Have you seen The Boys?
No.
Have you seen Invincible?
No.
Watch those two shows. I think it will change your mind.
Okay. Okay. Um, but yeah, I just
I know you're superheroed out, and I get it, but I'm because I'm also like feeling it myself. But I they're really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, but yeah, I've just $40 is a little steep for a character
No,
fighter pack.
I
Um,
get it. I get it.
and they do add some more cameo characters too. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about too is the cameo system. Because that's completely new
Mhm.
to the franchise. Now, if you don't know, the cameo system was kind of a way for them to kind of call back the characters that Liu Kang didn't revive. Like
Mhm.
Sonya Blade's not back; she's dead. Um, a lot of other characters are dead. But you can call them back with R1. Like you pick your main character and then you pick your cameo character. Um,
Mhm.
which if I do a poor explanation, I've got a video up on the Black Box channel of me playing it. But basically you can hit R1 in a direction and they'll call them in and like do like a quick move. They're not like it's not like a tag system like in Tekken Tag where you tag them in and they're in for a bunch. They just kind of
Mhm.
come in and do like one or two quick moves and then bounce out.
So it's like the assist system in like Capcom.
Yeah. Um
Okay.
and you can also hit the cameo character so you can like break them out of that combo so you can counter it. And then that also gives you like the opportunity to have like two sets of fatalities. So like you have
Mhm.
your fatalities and then you have your cameo character's fatalities.
That's
Which the
pretty cool.
cameo character fatalities, they're all callbacks to like the old, like Jax has his from Mortal Kombat 2 where he just like gets giant and stomps on you, which makes no fucking sense, but that's always in there. They have the classic Goro comes and just rips your arms off. They have the classic Kano shoots the laser out of the eye and
Mhm.
blows your head up. I will say, I guess if I have one criticism is the fatalities are kind of, for the regular characters, I kind of really a lot of the same. Um, it's just like they're not interesting anymore, I guess is what I say. It's like, how can we eviscerate this corpse into like as many pieces as possible and leave them in a pile of meat? Um,
Okay.
they all kind of
I
end
mean,
that same way.
I think I saw, was it Liu Kang's I saw? Liu Kang's looked pretty cool.
I haven't played as Liu Kang yet, so
Oh, then I won't say anything.
yeah, I don't care.
Oh, okay.
They're just fatalities. But yeah, I haven't played as Liu Kang yet. I've mostly played as Sub Zero, Scorpion, Lee Mei. I think those are like the main three that I've played as outside of the story. Um,
Okay.
I played a little bit as Rain too. Oh, and Smoke. I'm a ninja guy. I always plays all the ninjas. Um, Smoke might be a main too because Smoke is really fun to play as.
Mhm.
Sub Zero is so, everybody always says, but Chase, Sub Zero is your favorite because, like, canonically, I've always been like, I love Sub Zero, but I've never liked
Mhm.
to play as him because he's slow. He's the slowest out of all the ninjas.
Yeah.
Like, he's very
Yeah.
slow. So I always end up going over to Scorpion because Scorpion's real quick.
Mhm.
And Smoke's pretty quick too. So as much as I love Sub Zero, sorry, you're my boy in the story, but I don't like to play as you that much because you're slow. Um, but yeah, that's I'll have more to say on that because I'm chipping away. The reason why I stopped playing it and started playing Persona also is Shauna's also trying to play the story. So she's trying to I'm on chapter 11 and she's on like chapter 5 or 6. So I'm trying to
Okay.
like we're trying to take turns letting her play some and then letting me play some. Um
Mhm.
so that gives me something to play cuz she actually said this. I got to chapter 11 with Sindel and she's like, "Okay, you have to stop" because that's her favorite character. And she's also trying not to see like originally she was like, "Let me play this chapter right now." And I was like, "No, you got to see the story. You got to get up to
Mhm.
her." She's like, "Fine." So I've like stopped for the moment so she
Okay.
can catch up to that. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping to play some of the other modes. A little disappointing that there's only one unlockable character and it's Havoc. Um, Havoc
Hmm.
is just kind of okay. He was always kind of okay from like Deception and Deadly Alliance. So that's a little disappointing. The cameo characters you can unlock are pretty cool. You can unlock original Scorpion and Sub Zero, Shujinko, who's a deep cut from Mortal Kombat Deception. That's basically your player character from Deception.
Yeah.
And then you can play as, or you can call in Mataro, who's the centaur guy. Um, so
Okay.
those are the other ones that I get to, that I can unlock, and I don't know if you unlock those in the story or if you have to spend fucking coins on them. And just get a random pull because they have that
Mhm.
gotcha mechanics. Um, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far.
Cool.
I'll probably get back into a little bit of it tonight if Shauna, or I'll probably let Shauna play more of it tonight because she needs to catch up. Um, but that's all I have for games. Do you want to get into news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, well, we're gonna start with the big one, because
Yeah.
while we took the week off, the floodgates fucking opened, and a part of me was like, "Oh, this is a bad week to take off," but it is what it is, you know.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
it happens, but basically everything from 2020 leaked at Microsoft that they were been working on. So I had to clarify when I did this, all this stuff came out of emails that were sent in 2020. So we got to take a lot of this with a little bit of a grain of salt.
It's probably been pushed back too.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if if it's all still on board, it's probably been pushed back a few years.
Or yeah, but you can definitely say that there a lot of this is going to come to fruition. But we'll just start with this one comes from Video Games Chronicle, but I'm just gonna say this is everywhere. If you've been on social media, this is all this news has been all over the place. We're just kind of covering it here. First thing is Microsoft said Phil Spencer said that they're looking at 2028 for the next major Xbox launch. As in like the next generation of Xbox boxes. That
Mhm.
sounds about right. That's about a 7-year gap on average that we have between consoles. Um, so that's not really that big of a surprise to me. Does that really shock you at all?
Not really. I guess I don't know. It seems very soon. And I know it's not it's like it's still 5 years off, but it just feels too soon.
Yeah, I think it's because it still feels like this generation just started, but it's hard to believe
Yeah.
that it was 3 years ago at this point.
Mhm.
Because what these consoles launched in 2020
I think
or
it's
end of
like kind of
2019.
in the same vein that you were saying is like they just now feel like they're starting to get off because it took forever to get like a serious amount of consoles out there or
Well,
just
that
in
in
stores.
games too, like, everything was delayed because of
Mhm.
COVID, let's be real. Like, it
Yeah.
slowed down development, it slowed down everything, so now it just feels like everybody's finally getting to that point to where we're catching up, and
But also, I don't mean to keep talking shit, but you're planning the next console in 5 years, but where's your first party titles?
Right. I definitely
Congratulations, you released Starfield
yeah,
3 years into the console.
you I'm gonna be even more salty about that. You bought the studio that released Starfield. Yeah, let's be
That's pretty
where
accurate.
is the stuff from Microsoft Game Studio proper? That's what I'm
Mhm.
wondering. And we'll get a little bit into Bethesda a little bit too. But the next one is there's an update to the Xbox Series X that's coming. It will have a 2 terabyte hard drive and no disk drive. It's going to be an all digital edition, and it's a giant fucking cylinder. Um, what do
I
you think?
mean, aesthetically, I like it better than a giant box. I think a round object is a little bit better in my opinion.
Aesthetically
Um,
pleasing to the eye.
yes, at least to my eye. I I don't know, like, stop doing goofy ass shapes.
Yeah, and that goes for Sony too.
Oh, 100%.
Like
Sony, get rid of the fins.
the
I like sharks, but not on my console.
yeah, like these are like the worst console designs probably ever, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
They're also the code name for this console is codename Brooklyn. It is also going to include a new controller that is going to have a swappable battery and improved haptics.
Ooh,
Yeah,
a
swappable battery.
swappable battery, the thing that Sony's been having since, like, the PS3 era?
We don't got a swappable battery now.
No, we can charge our controllers natively, though. We don't have to, like, buy a
Yeah,
separate charging dock or
yeah.
just live with battery purchases.
I would honestly though, with how shitty the battery life is in the PS5 controller, just let me put double A's in it at this point.
No. Mm-mm.
Like I don't even fucking care. Like the battery life and the
It is so much cheaper.
oh,
To
I
me,
know.
the cost is way more effective, especially because, like, I have a charging dock. I went ahead and bought a charging dock when I bought my console, but I also have, like, I think it's like a 6 or 8 foot
Y-
USB-C
I
cord
do
that's
too.
already
Yeah.
plugged in. So, like, if it starts dying, I just reach over, grab it, and plug it in and keep going. Like, it's not
My
I don't know.
thing is when those batteries don't hold a charge anymore, you're fucked. That is my only
Yeah,
complaint.
but,
Like
like,
it can even be a proprietary swappable battery. Let me buy a swappable battery at $35 instead of paying $70 for a new controller when that battery
but
finally
see,
goes.
Chase, that's why they come out with, like, the special controllers. So, like, I had my release controller, right? And then I got a red one right around the same time. And then I got the God of War Ragnarok Special Edition one, which has been dope. It's been great. But now there's a Spider-Man one coming out, and they might get my money for that
I
game.
missed out on the Final Fantasy 16 one. You can't find that motherfucker anywhere now.
No, you might have. I mean, eBay, but if you want to pay like
Yeah.
150% markup,
I'm lame. I have 2 white ones and then I have my purple one. That's it. Like that's all I've
yeah.
got. Um, I do love my purple one though. Purple one's my bae. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, the improved haptics, I guess, are gonna be involving vibration, but also sound. Because you can use sound waves to kind of create vibrations. So
Interesting.
that's a little interesting. Um, the only thing I will say is like I hope they have improved battery life. Um, and they are also going to be updating the Series S at the same time as uh, the new Series X. The new Series X target, it looks like it's going to be next year, um, probably around the
That
same time as the next Switch and the rumored PS4 Pro or PS5 Pro.
I just think it's so funny that this all leaked and is potentially coming out next year, just on the heels of Phil Spencer in an interview saying we have no plans to make a pro edition of our console.
Well, technically, no, they're not because if you actually look at all the specs, it's exactly like the
Right,
Series
but
X,
I
but
mean,
digital.
I feel like we're grasping at straws here because fundamentally, to me, it's the exact same thing. It's a slightly updated version from the previous because now it has a 2 terabyte hard drive
The way I
and it's a
look at
different
this
shape.
is that I look at it like how it was during the Xbox 360 PS3 era, where you didn't get like a more powerful console, you just got like a slimmer version with more hard drive space.
Yeah.
That's the way that I look at it. Versus like last time around, we had the Xbox One X and the actual PS4 Pro, which were actually
Mhm.
an upgrade
Yeah.
from the previous boxes. Um, but yeah, I don't know. A bunch of other stuff came out too through emails. Phil Spencer says Nintendo is the prime asset for Xbox to acquire. This is back in 2020, which
Mm.
Nintendo totally laughed off. Um,
That was my favorite part about it.
like I believe this came up in a discussion. If I can find where it was, they were talking about buying somebody else. A bunch of people at Xbox were talking about buying somebody else, and then the board at Microsoft were like, "Why don't you just buy Nintendo?" And that seems like a bigger asset than I think it was because it's going to lead into this other one. Microsoft was also interested in buying WB.
Mhm.
Um, and they basically somebody who doesn't understand video games on the board at Microsoft was like, "Why don't you just buy Nintendo?" And this response was Phil responding like, "I agree with you. They are a prime asset. That would be like the ultimate get." But he followed it up by saying, "But Nintendo has no interest in selling it. It is not in a position."
No.
Like he even followed
No.
that up. So when it started going around on Twitter at first, like it kind of got overblown because even Phil Spencer, once you dug into it, was like, "Oh, I know this isn't going to happen." Like,
Yeah.
would I love for it to happen? Yes. Would it be the biggest win in my career as the head of Xbox? Absolutely. But I don't see it happening. He also said that he thinks it would benefit Nintendo. Like it would, of course, he's going to say that though. It would benefit Nintendo for them to come up
Yeah.
for us to merge. That's the way he kept saying was merging. But you know, I it is what it is. Like it got really overblown online, so that's why I had to like say, hey, all this shit was emails from 2020. Plans change, you know, and some of
Mhm.
these will probably keep going. Some of these might not. Um, let me see here. Uh as a part of this, the Bethesda roadmap leaked, which is
Mhm.
really kind of funny because I have it sitting here in front of me. I'm just gonna kind of go through this. For the year 2020, they had Doom Eternal and PC, which happened. The Elder Scrolls Online, Greymore, which I believe happened. Deathloop, which
Mhm.
happened. I didn't think that
Mhm.
happened. I think that got pushed back to 2021, but it did happen. Fallout Wastelanders, don't know if that happened or not.
That was
They
a DLC for 76.
DLC for 76. Okay. Fallout Shelter Online, which did happen, and then Project Whirlwind. This one cracked me up. 2021 Starfield. Starfield was originally like they were like, "Oh yeah, it's coming out in 2021." Yeah,
Mhm.
you're a few years off on that. Redfall was supposed to come out in 2021. That didn't come out till this year. Um, Ghostwire Tokyo, I think, was pretty recent too, and that
Hmm.
was listed for 21. And let's see, the Indiana Jones game was already supposed to be out by now. It's still in development, because that was listed for 2022. An Oblivion remaster was supposed to be out by now. That was just announced. Um, Starfield DLC was already supposed to be out by now. um, and then three planned titles. And these were the ones that were kind of interesting to me. Doom Year Zero was supposed to be coming out in 2023. Um, Project Kestrel, Elder Scrolls Online expansion, and Project Platinum, and then one planned unannounced title. And then for 2024, Elder Scrolls 6, all this says is it's a licensed IP game. Fallout 3 remaster, Dishonored 3, Ghostwire Tokyo sequel, and Doom Year Zero DLC. So is like Doom Year Zero like a prequel to Doom? Because that seems like it'd be really fucking weird.
I think it is.
I,
At least that's what I'm getting.
I that doesn't make sense to me. As somebody who's an avid Doom player and played Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal was kind of meh. But uh, that that just breaks my brain a little bit. But yeah, what do you think of like kind of like oh, and they did finally confirm after much speculation that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a Microsoft exclusive. It's not coming to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Which they originally said they weren't going to do that, but yeah, now they are.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think everything was pushed back for probably a multitude of reasons.
Mhm.
Um, COVID being probably a major one, and two, just like trying to keep up with everything and troubleshoot all the issues. Uh, I mean, go off Bethesda, I guess. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
um, I was hearing a lot of stuff that's like mobile game,
Dishonored
failed
3 kind of
DLC for
jumped out at me a little bit.
yeah,
I'm
like
not the
failed
biggest
DLC
Dishonored
for
fan.
a failed game that's already been out. Like
Yeah,
it's all right.
the
Uh,
Starfield one really cracked me up.
yeah. I
2021
mean,
Starfield, everybody.
I think it's a whole that one's a whole other beast that they're probably not used to. So it's funny to me for them to think that it was going to come out in 2021, but realistically, looking at the game, probably came out at the correct time. Um,
Yeah,
it's I wish them the best of luck. I want to know what this officially licensed unannounced game is. Um, because I want to see what IP they're going to attempt to destroy with their in-house engine. Um, I am cautiously optimistic for Indiana Jones. Um, and yeah, I guess Elder Scrolls 6, as time goes on, I am slowly and slowly pulling away from it.
I'm Bethesda out.
Yeah,
I feel like they need to do something like I mean, all due respect to Starfield. Starfield does look
they kind of have to
pretty cool.
reinvent the wheel for me.
It is literally Fallout in space, from what I can see. Everything around it seems really cool. Like the shipbuilding seems cool, the base building seems
Yeah.
cool. The exploration seems kind of lame because it's very handholdy from what I've seen. Like there's modders that have modded like actual like free flight into the game when you land onto a
Hmm.
planet. Yeah, yeah. Leave it to modders to make your game better. Isn't that the
But
story of
that's what
Bethesda?
Bethesda's always done is they've had a very open with like modding community, and
Right.
so it does not surprise
Yeah. So that's my thing is like they really need to like reinvent the wheel. So that's why like do have some friends that were like really upset when I said that. Oh yeah, Elder Scrolls is for sure going to be an exclusive, and probably Fallout going forward is going to be an exclusive.
me.
But Fallout hasn't been good since New Vegas, in my opinion. Skyrim was kind of like the last time that I felt like, okay, this is good, but this is the last time you can kind of rest on your laurels a little bit.
But I
And
think, at least for myself, just because I was a wee lad when when Skyrim came out, um, I it that game struck at the right time.
right,
It took over the video game sphere, and it is like it was great. It was
Oh, for
great at the
sure.
time.
It was at
I
the
think
end
I've
of the
just
360 era, so it was, like,
yeah,
hitting at the right time. Yep.
I think I've just moved on from it.
Yeah.
Although I did see one of my friends on Facebook the other day say, "I think it's time for him to invade Markarth again," and I had to laugh.
Nice. Um, and that's pretty much all of the Xbox news from week 1. We're still in the week
Mhm.
1 of news here. Um,
Okay.
the next story, comes from Polygon. Nintendo briefed Activision on the Switch 2 last year. If I dig into this article a little bit, Nintendo has been briefing key partner studios on its next generation Nintendo Switch hardware ahead of the console's reported release in 2024, according to multiple reports. We now know that one of those companies is Activision, thanks to the new filings in the Federal Trade Commission versus Microsoft case. The big thing that is kind of been pulled from this is that I don't know how to feel about this, but it looks like that this next Switch is going to have the power of a PS4 slash Xbox One. That's the target that they're shooting for. What do you think?
Um, I think it's slightly behind, but I'm still
But isn't that kind of always Nintendo? Slightly behind.
yeah,
They
it's
kind of
always
always do their own thing.
yeah, and I think that's like as like I know I will give shit to like the shit we were just giving to Bethesda, but that's to me, I think it's a different ball game. Sony and Microsoft have always been in their own competition.
Yeah.
Nintendo's only competition was Sega, and they bought it out, and so they have every right or every ability to them to just do their own thing. They're not
Right.
in any race. Sure, to the consumer, it kind of sucks that they're not really keeping up with it with anyone else. And to that extent, some games do suffer. Uh,
Mortal Kombat
but
Switch port. Oh, yikes.
yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Uh, um, but I mean, do your own thing. You're still gonna make sales. You're gonna release a Mario game. You're gonna release a Zelda game. You're gonna release a Pokemon game. You're gonna try to break records, and you potentially will.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I will say that the Nintendo in-house team knows how to work on that hardware. Knows like
yeah,
that's why Breath of the Wild looked really good. That's why Mario
mhm,
Odyssey looked really good. That's why Tears of the Kingdom looked really good. They know what to do with it. It's really these outside studios that are just like, hey, um,
yeah. See, I would even say Game Freak who
yeah,
make Pokemon. I mean, they're not even like I feel like they do too much. As much as I love Pokemon, I'm starting to get to the point of like you got to do something else now.
yeah.
You gotta improve on what you're doing because you're making super laggy games. I didn't even touch on that during the Teal Mask when I first booted it up. It was slideshow.
Oh, yikes.
I had to completely shut off the game and reboot it, and it's still like it would still lag in the main hub of the DLC, but you spent so much time there that every time you went in, it just started lagging.
Right.
And then not even to mention if the in-game universe rain started coming in,
Oh,
it
frame rate killer.
tanked even more. Oh
Yeah.
yes.
And I think one of the other things that came out from this FTC case, kind of going along this, is that um, looks like the CEO Bobby Kotick kind of met and said like during the case they're like, well, how come you didn't make stuff for the Nintendo Switch this generation? And
Mhm.
he basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, is like, yeah, we kind of fucked up on that one. Like they didn't
Yeah.
anticipate the Switch being as successful as it was, and now they kind of regret not putting stuff on the Switch. So that's at least good sign saying that at least Activision under Microsoft will
Mhm.
want to now put things on the Switch,
Yeah.
or the next Switch going forward. So, um,
I do you question, slightly off course here. Do you think the Switch's, success kinda depended on COVID hitting?
no,
No?
no, because it came out a few years before COVID.
True.
I think the Switch success was just smart hardware. The fact that it's
Yeah.
both handheld and a console. Um, the fact that there are a lot of like casual gamers that picked up a Switch. There's a lot of casual. You kind of saw that with the Wii as well. back in the
Shoot,
day.
there's a lot of people who have never played video games before. Like elderly people, especially that's why I was saying is like especially during COVID, there's a lot of elderly people that were just picking up the Switch just to have something
Oh,
to do.
COVID definitely helped. I will say
Yeah,
that. Like,
like
but
I
I
think
think
Animal Crossing was like the big push for it.
I'm not even a big Animal Crossing person. I mean, there's certain titles I like. There's certain ones that I don't like. Um, I think New Leaf might have been my favorite. But I even picked up this last Animal Crossing because I was trapped inside, like,
Yeah.
and wanted to still quote unquote hang out with friends. Um, but yeah, I think COVID definitely helped, but I think the Switch was going to be a success no matter what. Um,
Okay.
and I think the Switch too, if they kind of double down and don't do something like the Wii U, then they'll do it again.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. I always say this, like, Nintendo is a great, like, secondary console to have. And I don't mean that as in like a slight to Nintendo, but like if you could only pick up like one of the big two, which is like Xbox and Sony at this point, let's be real. Pick up one of those and then pick up a Switch. Because then you
Yeah.
have all your bases pretty much covered if you're just a strictly, like, especially for me who's strictly a console player, like that covers me because I get
Mm-hmm.
my Sony first party stuff that I like. I get a lot of the JRPGs that I like to play because Sony caters to those and so does Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get the third party stuff on my PlayStation, and then I get the Nintendo exclusive stuff. I'm set. Like, I don't really
Yeah.
necessarily need. I guess the only thing I kind of miss, but it hasn't been good in a while, is Halo. Uh, but
I enjoyed the last. I had a
it was
blast
all
with
right.
it.
I felt like it just wasn't supported well. Like it, I've.
It wasn't supported, no, but the game itself was good.
Oh yeah, the game itself was good. I what I kept saying was like it needs more maps because I downloaded the free multiplayer on my PC, and I
Mhm.
was like, it needs more
Oh,
maps.
see, that's where we're the disconnect between you and I are.
Yeah,
I played the actual game.
yeah,
Like, I played the story mode and stuff, which was actually, like, super refreshing and a lot of fun. But I think because of that, the, multiplayers did slightly suffer.
right. Next story comes from gamesindustry.biz. Ascendant Studios lays off about 45% of its workforce. This is the studio that just put out Immortals of Avium. And the layoffs are reportedly due to poor sales, the former employee says.
I mean,
It looks like according to Polygon, 40 employees were let go from the studio, and then as of April 2023, the independent developer did employ over 100 people. Um, so I think, well, I'll let you go first, because I might have to switch to headphones because the sweat is making these fall out of my ears. So just go ahead and talk for a minute. What do
sure.
you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, Immortals of Avion was actually a game that I was looking forward to this year. Um, and it just happened to come out around the same time as like quite a few different games that I wanted to pick up. So I never got around to it. And I think the downside with it is it was a flash in the pan. It got really big hype views at like day one, but I think that was it. I also think partially because a lot of it was sponsored content. Um, I haven't really looked into anything, but also because I still slightly plan on playing the game myself. But from the sounds of it and the looks of it, the game might not have been that good. And I think they were expecting to be the next big AAA title, um, especially in the middle of a stellar year of games. But I think that's just the downside is that they were expecting to make a maybe like a middle of the road B game in amongst the year of A plus titles. And so I think that was probably to their detriment. I wish the best to all of the staff that got laid off. I hope they find work. I know video game design and stuff like that is um pretty cutthroat. So
Right.
I hope all the best.
My take is, and this is similar to what I've heard on a few other podcasts that I listen to, and I kind of agree with it. Not to just crib what they're saying, but you agree with it, you agree with it.
Mhm.
Um, I think charging $60 for that game was a mistake. I think that if they would have charged maybe 30 or 40 or even got it on Game Pass or something like
Mhm.
that, I think it would have fared better. I think charging the full price for that game, that was kind of shot them in the foot. Um,
Yeah,
I
that's what kept me from picking it
A
up
lot of
because it was
people
either
kind of said that
that
like this
or
game is
like
decent, but it's not worth that price tag.
yeah. I mean that's what kind of kept me from picking it up. It was either that or get uh I think Sea of Stars came out around the same time in like 30 double X. But I bought both of those games for like $45 for two instead of $60 for a okay game.
Right. But yeah, it sucks. Hopefully those people will land on their feet. It
Hmm.
sucks that, you ship one game nowadays and then it just leads to layoffs depending on how it does.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Last four-ish stories for this week of news. Ubisoft announces this comes from Video Games Chronicle. Ubisoft announces the Division 3 with massive entertainment set to develop it. Um, Not too much more to say about that. I wasn't really that big of a Division player. Were you really big in the Division when it came out?
I played a decent amount of two, only because I think I bought like a graphics card and it came with it for free. It was an okay game. It has a very devoted following,
Right.
so I'm very happy to those five people. But um, yeah, I mean, it doesn't stand out to me in any.
Yeah.
It's like
Um,
Destiny, but like more grounded, and it's just if I had to pick the two, I'm gonna pick Destiny.
I hear you. I just say no shocker. Ubisoft needs more titles other than Assassin's Creed.
No, bring back. Okay, I might shit on Assassin's Creed later, but just bring back Rayman. Do more Rayman games. You're gonna make money.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Hmm.
I'd love some more Rayman Legends, Rayman anything. Um, but let's see here. Next story, no surprise here. Literally zero. Comes from gamesindustry.biz as well. Starfield is the fifth biggest game launch in Europe this year so far. Um, Starfield was comfortably number one across Europe during its launch week, and has kind of stayed pretty high. Um, it fell to five uh in its week one sales. The only things to do better than it were Jedi Survivor, Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo 4, and Hogwarts Legacy. Um, are we really shocked?
No,
That game got
no.
hyped to death. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's a Bethesda game. People who like Bethesda games, we talk about how we're sick of Bethesda games, but there's a lot of people that aren't.
Yeah.
Um, those
I mean,
people are
don't get
gonna
me wrong. I will attest to it. They did a great job. I'm sick of Bethesda games, but it piqued my interest for a little bit there. I almost picked it up.
Me too. Well, I mean, I didn't almost pick it up because I don't have an Xbox, but I was when they were showing it, I was like, man, but
Mhm, mhm.
um, I doesn't surprise me. Like those people are gonna show up. Those
Yeah,
Bethesda like diehards are going to show up, whatever you put out. So, and there's a lot of them, so that doesn't surprise me. Um, this one I kind of threw in for me. It comes from IGN. I love the title of this article though. Over $600 million later, Star Citizen is now at the Alpha 3.20 stage. Um, this game has been in development for so fucking long.
Mhm.
Um, but at least they're
You know what?
talking. At least they're talking about it. Unlike Beyond Good and Evil 2, which has been in
Yeah,
development forever, and we've just heard nothing.
I think
Um,
it's canceled at this.
Beyond Good and
I
Evil
just
2.
yeah, I think it's canceled.
I don't know. I don't know. They're making a Beyond Good and Evil remake apparently, so maybe they're doing that to gauge the interest. But yeah, Star Citizen has been in development for so long. I remember. I feel like I was in high school when that got announced. Like,
And see, that's like the crazy part is like we're gonna shit on Star Citizen, but I've watched people play and it actually looks pretty good. It looks pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah. And I find it funny that it's still technically an alpha.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
After $600 million have been spent, which is fucking insane. How much money has gone into that? Um, And the last one for week one, and this is just from Supergiant's website at all, or period. Hades 2 is going to begin early access next year. Says at Q2 2024 it'll enter early access on Steam and Epic Game Store. They'll have more details with exact date and pricing and system requirements closer to that date. I don't know about you, but I loved the first Hades. Um,
I want to play it.
it's
I still haven't
fun.
touched it.
I need to get back. I actually never finished it. I made it really close to the end, but I never finished it. But I still have it on my Switch. I loved playing that. And it ran well on Switch.
Yeah.
It's a fun run-based game. So next year we're going to be having the early access period for it. So hopefully we get an early access period on Switch. That would be cool because that was why I played so much of Hades. It was a good like game to play in bed. Um,
Yeah.
all right, we are in week 2, everybody.
Woo!
uh, so more Xbox news here. More kind of like catching up on the emails and everything. In a leaked email, Phil Spencer says AAA publishers are milking their top franchise and struggling to find new hits. Um,
No, that's yeah.
I cannot even argue with that. That is spot on.
No.
He said they're relying on their established IPs and kind of like afraid to take risks. Um,
No.
which is exactly what we've been saying a lot of, especially with I hate to harp on, maybe because I do have a Japanese bias, but I hate to harp
Mhm.
on the Western studios, but let's be real, the Western studios are really the ones that are the biggest at fault at this. I again think of like your Assassin's Creeds, your Call of Duties, uh, even like your Naughty Dog stuff with Last of Us and
Yeah, no.
Uncharted. You could even kind of say that with Sony Santa Monica with God of War. You can kind of say that with Microsoft and Halo, and Gears of War.
See, I will the only thing I will argue against a little bit of this is just that Santa Monica, only because they like why am I just blanking on his name? The guy in charge of basically
Corey
all of it
Barlog.
came out. Yeah, thank you. Came out and said that once Ragnarok was done, they have a new IP. They're just not
Yes,
telling.
yes, that is awesome. But until recently, I should say, it's been very much like everybody's just pushing out the same shit over and over, and
Mhm.
either relying on their established IPs or relying on like even like I I love the Spider-Man games. I love the Spider-Man games. I know I'm going to probably adore Spider-Man 2, but I
Mhm.
feel after
Mhm.
Spider-Man 2, I'm going to want to see something else out of Insomniac. I'm going to want to Well, and we got the Wolverine game coming
We got
too.
Wolverine coming.
But
Yeah.
even after that, I want to see them do something original. But
Yeah.
I understand. Also, this has got me thinking, where the fuck has Sucker Punch been?
Ooh.
They did Ghost of Tsushima, and then I know they're working on a Ghost of Tsushima too, but like they did Infamous too, and they also did Sunset Overdrive. Um, so
Well, Sunset Overdrive,
that's never gonna happen again.
no, because that was Insomniac.
Oh, that
Uh,
was Insomniac. That's right.
that was Insomniac. I mean,
I
Infamous,
always mix up Sucker Punch and Insomniac for some reason.
Infamous would be a great game to bring back, especially with like the haptic feedback on all the controllers.
Well,
I
and the
think that'd be
particle
super cool.
physics too that they've been able to do with these new
Hmm.
consoles. Yeah.
And also with like the ray tracing and stuff that we get, it would
Hmm.
be probably one of the most beautiful games ever.
Right.
I don't, like you said, where the fuck they at? I think they pick one game and then they only do that one game.
It's probably Ghost of Tsushima too. Now that I think about it.
More than likely.
Which I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved Ghost of Tsushima because it was basically this is the joke that I'm bringing back into Assassin's Creed. We're finally getting that Japanese Assassin's Creed, and I'm like, too late. Sucker Punch already did it. They did it with Ghost of Tsushima. After years of begging for a feudal Japan Assassin's Creed, they just went and did it. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I want to see the Japanese market. Just seems like it still takes a little bit, and they're still pretty conservative too, but I feel like they still take a little bit more risks. Um, in my opinion.
Oh, aren't they doing the? I don't know. Is this like the old one, new one? Never mind. It's an old one. Just kidding.
um, and the next one also comes from Video Games Chronicle. Um, Xbox players can, and this is from Phil Spencer, Xbox players can expect Japanese AAA exclusives in the future. That's pretty bold of a
Okay.
statement. Um,
Good luck.
yes, he said in an interview with Game Watch, Spencer was asked if Xbox would eventually get uniquely Japanese AAA titles such as Lost Odyssey or Blue Dragon instead of just getting Xbox versions of Japanese games also on PlayStation and Switch. When asked if it was difficult for Xbox to meet these expectations, Spencer said, "Not at all. I think you can expect that." In fact, he continued, "We've released Hi-Fi Rush in January 2023. It may not have been a major title like Blue Dragon, but it was certainly high quality. There are also Japanese game creators who are part of the Microsoft Game Studios, and while there are titles we can't announce yet, we are currently developing new games in collaboration with Japanese companies." Um,
Okay.
that has me excited as a connoisseur of Japanese games. Um, but I feel like I've heard this song and dance before.
Hmm.
Um,
I gotta
S-
see it.
Sony and Nintendo kind of have it on lock. Also, the
Yep.
one thing that holds back is that if you look at it globally or just in Japan, Xbox doesn't sell well over there.
Mm-mm.
Hell, Sony struggles to sell over there because a lot of people play games on their phones over there. Even Switches don't sell as well as you would think. They sell probably the best, but they it's different over there. And the games that come out on Xbox just don't interest the Japanese audience.
Mm-mm.
Especially when you have two big Japanese companies like Nintendo and Sony right in their backyard that are pumping out stuff. They kind of have a loyalty a little bit, to
Yeah.
companies in their own backyard. That's just the way that they've been. Um, so like you said, I'll believe it when I see it.
Hmm.
For sure. Um, Next one also comes from Video Games Chronicle. Um, and this was kind of, well, I'll say what I'm going to say here in a second. The UK regulator, the CMA, has provisionally approved the Microsoft Activision acquisition. If you remember, a few months ago, as we were kind of going over the story, a little bit of the news is kind of slowed on this, but it looks like that the CMA, who originally blocked this acquisition, is now finally going to approve it because of that whole. They're going to allow. They're agreeing to sell the cloud streaming rights to Ubisoft. That was what that kind of cleared that for them.
Hmm.
Um, I think this was the last major sticking point to delay this finally going through. What do you think?
Um, I just want it done, to be honest. It's so to me it is so annoying and blown out of proportion. I think from a business standpoint, I think I've said this before, comes across as very predatory.
Right?
Um, so let it happen. Either they succeed and they make some of the greatest games ever made with arguably some of the greatest uh Western like development studios of all time, or they dump too much money into this, they go ahead like in over their heads with it and they fail. And
Yeah. I was kind of having the same sentiment though. It was like, yep, this is probably going to go through now. This is like the last
Mhm.
major, like I said, last major sticking point. And maybe, just maybe, we could finally stop fucking talking about this.
Fucking finally.
Um, if we have a category at Game of the Year time that is like a thing we want to stop talking about, I think this one takes the cake already. Um, because I felt like since I've started this podcast, it has been something that we've talked about
Mhm.
in one way or another. We might have had a week break from it occasionally as it slowed down, but oh my god.
It's
Um
every week.
it's
Every week it's been
it's
something.
there's something about it.
Mhm.
Um Next one comes from Kotaku, and this doesn't surprise me at all. Mark Whitten of Unity. Unity apologizes for controversial changes and walks back some. No shit. Um,
Mm.
Mark Whitten apologized for controversial changes announced on September 12th and announced that it'll be walking back some of the worst changes, including charging install fees for previously published games. So he's basically saying games previously launched, they're not going to charge fees for.
Yeah, it's still shitty.
but
All around, it's still very shitty.
still might do it going forward. And I also feel the damage has been done. How can a company
Oh,
trust you at this point? Like a developer trust you at this point to not enact this later?
I think we've talked about this, but I've seen so many indie studios automatically like just jump ship. Shoot, even the next thing we have to talk about is
In
very
direct
much
result.
it's a direct result of the fallout of it. And it's I think at this point, Unity's
Yeah.
they've sealed their own fate and no one wants to work with them because now they're just showing that they are greedy.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're in it for the money.
Yep. Uh, and some of their military contracts fell through because that was the other thing too, is they were making a lot of money doing like a lot of military simulation work.
Mhm.
And I feel like maybe some of that military money ain't coming in anymore. So
Mm.
that's what you get for getting in bed with the government. Um,
Mhm.
and yep, we'll just go right into it. Next one comes from IGN. Unity debacle forces dev to cancel Nintendo Switch port of Wipeout style racer. This was Ballistic NG, which launched on Steam in 2018. And did really well if you like the Wipeout games. I love the Wipeout games back in the day.
Mhm.
But they were originally planning on a Switch port, and because of this, despite them walking some of this back, they canceled it. They're not doing it anymore. And they literally said, quote, "This comes as a big kick in the balls." That was a quote from them directly, but they can't trust Unity with anything
I
going
think it's
forward.
so funny with the amount of like developers who put out statements after this and the amount of like usually very professional like companies at the end of it just said also fuck you Unity.
Yeah,
And
like
it was
fuck
so
off.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so hilarious that like because it was shitty. We've talked about that. We
Yeah.
talked about it with Zach when Zach was here too. We and we've talked about it at work off mic. Like
Mhm.
what when did they think that this was a good idea, that this was gonna go over well?
See, that's the thing is I I can't remember the exact specifications. I had it more on lock when I thought I was going to show up for the one that Zach took over for me. Also, shout out to Zach. Thank you so much for stepping in. But I think it's something about like he did this before with a different company
Yeah.
and
Or
he just
about
killed
how
it.
I don't know if it was this guy, but one of them like sold off a bunch of his stocks
It was
before
the
this.
CEO.
It was a
The
CEO.
CEO
Yep.
sold all of his stocks right before he
He
made the
announced this.
announcement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
Because
he
the
knew
stocks dropped like what, 50%? Something
something
like
like
that?
that. Yeah, they tanked.
Yeah.
They tanked big time. Next one comes from The Verge. Kind of a little bit of a smaller one, but one that I'm kind of excited about because I've always been interested in picking one of these up. If I could ever
Same.
afford it. Valve, don't expect a faster Stream Deck in the next couple of years. Uh, Valve's, and I'm gonna butcher your name, Pierre Loup Griffas Griffa. It's a French
Wow.
name. Hints it might be 2025 or even 2026 before a Stream Deck 2. Um, what do you think about? Well, let me just throw that to you. What do you think of the Stream Deck so far, from what you've heard? And
I've heard some decent things about it. Um, uh, from what there was a few people I've talked to a lot about with it, and they don't seem too excited about it, only because of the price point.
mhm.
And the only thing they really want, and this is kind of the crappy part about it that I didn't necessarily like agree with, is the only reason why they want to get it is to break it.
Yeah,
Um, I mean,
I mean, to be
the
real, I'd probably do that because I'd love to put some emulators on it.
yeah, I mean, it's also shitty that like a lot of developers were striking against Steam for having uh emulators on their storefront. But I mean, kind of like in the same vein as like my same complaints about like the PS5 and the Xbox. Not a lot of people have it in their hands.
Yeah.
But
Um,
what's the point of pumping out something for a while?
the people that do have it, that
Hmm.
I trust, the few people that I do listen to, they say it's fucking awesome. It's a
Yeah.
really great device. I had somebody also that has a Stream Deck also test out the ROG Ally, which is Asus's handheld, and it's
Hmm.
terrible compared to the Steam Deck. Um,
Okay.
like there's some people that do like it, but in comparison to the Steam Deck just kills it. Now, I want to say Lenovo has one in the works too.
Hmm.
Kind of like a Stream Deck competitor or Steam Deck competitor. Sorry, I'm looking at my Stream Deck. Um, but I think right now, aside from like the Switch, the Steam Deck is the best thing to come in the sort of vein since the Switch.
And see,
Um,
that's what I was talking about with one of the guys is that the Lenovo one, I haven't like looked up to verify, but what he told me was that it's similar to the Switch where it has removable Joy-Con.
yeah.
And so I think that might be the Steam Deck killer.
The other thing about the ROG Ally that people do like is that it actually runs Windows on it.
Okay.
Um, but it uses their Armory Crate software, which if you've ever used ASUS's Armory Crate software, it's
Mhm.
fucking terrible. As somebody who has to
Yep.
use a lot of controllers, like I have to use some Razer controllers, and as much as I like my Razer keyboard, I hate their fucking software. Um, but uh, yeah, I don't see a point right now when not a lot of
Mhm.
people have streamed. It's selling well. It's doing well enough, but it's also Valve. They don't need to put out another one. They're making bank.
No.
They got Steam, and now they have this
Mhm.
device that's selling relatively well and works. That's the thing, is it works. That was the big thing. Where the ROG Ally works some of the time, from what
Mhm.
I've heard.
I think it'd just be really funny if they just kept their typical like business model where they released a Steam Deck 2 in like 5 years and then never touched it again and never released a third.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Next one comes from VG247. Dead Space co-creator departs studio after spiritual successor bombs. This is Glenn Schofield, who was the creator behind um wow, blanking Dead Space. I just read it.
Mhm.
But they recently put out the Callisto Protocol, which we reported, I think, about a few months ago that they laid off a bunch of people after that. Well, now
Mhm.
their CEO is leaving the studio. Um, didn't say that he was let go. But he's leaving.
He's gone. All right.
Um,
I mean, that sucks because from what I'm hearing, like it was a decent game. It just wasn't. It didn't have a whole lot of stuff.
I heard it got swallowed up by the Dead Space remake and everything else that kind of came out around it. Like
Yeah.
there were people
Yeah.
that saying like, "Ooh, the Dead Space remake actually plays better than this too." So because Callisto
Mhm.
Protocol did have a lot of problems at launch.
Yeah.
It was real buggy. And even just some quality of life stuff that you think would be in that game wasn't in that game.
Mhm.
Unfortunately. Um, Next one comes from Polygon. Kind of two back to back Sony stories here. This was all over Twitter. PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan is stepping down in March. He has led Sony Interactive Entertainment since 2019, and has been with the company for 30 years. What do you think about him leaving?
Time to let the old guard go.
Yeah.
Get some
So
fresh faces in there.
I saw a lot of kind of shitty takes on Twitter, like being like, "Oh, thank God this asshole's leaving," yada yada yada, and I'm just
Did
like,
he do anything?
I was
Did he
like,
do
did he do
bad?
anything wrong? Like everyone's like, well, a bunch of different IP didn't come out underneath him. And I'm like, he was only CEO since 2019. That's 4 years. Like, that's not a whole lot of time to like make monumental, huge changes. Um,
Ooh, I don't know. I might. This might change your
oh
tune.
God, hit me.
All right. He sometimes caused controversy of his own. I think this is Ryan angered some staffers after sending a memo that combined comments about the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on abortion access with 5 paragraphs about his two cats. First,
Oh, fuck that asshole. Good riddance. Okay. Aside from political takes, um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's been working there for 30 years, so I mean, good to see him retire. I mean, and get out.
I mean,
Hopefully somebody takes over that like is a good fit and will care about Sony's IPs.
Yeah, don't let Mark Whitten take over.
Oh God, no, definitely not. Um, we'll have Phil Spencer take over. That'll work.
Ooh, jump ship,
Jump
mutiny.
ship, do it. Heel turn. Uh, um, this next one comes from Video Games Chronicle. A ransomware group claims to have breached all of Sony's systems. In an update to this, Sony is investigating the situation after a hacking group threatened to sell allegedly stolen data. The quote says, "We have successfully compromised all of Sony systems. We won't ransom them. We will sell the data due to Sony not wanting to pay. The data is for sale." Um,
I
according
think
to
what
s-
I heard too about that is that, like, to anyone who is maybe feeling slightly afraid, it is not user data.
yeah,
From what I'm hearing, it is like source codes and
right.
uh yeah.
And actually, that's what I was about to say. Is according to the Cybersecurity Security Connect, the group has posted some proof of the hack data, although it says that this is not particularly compelling information on the face of things.
Yeah.
So probably what you said, a lot of source code,
Mhm.
but not much else.
No.
It's not like that big breach from like what was it like
2017,
2017 where like the
14.
PlayStation Network was like shut down for like a month almost in some
Oh,
places.
that was 14.
That was huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depended on your area, but I remember it was out for me for like 3 weeks or something like that. It
Mhm.
was yeah, it was down for a long time. Um Next story, you'll
I
like
can
this
take this
one a little.
one.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's actually directly from the SAG-Aftra site, so go ahead and take it.
Yeah. So SAG-AFTRA has voted to strike against certain video game developers. Um, Again, this is not authorizing a strike. This is purely just voting to strike if they need be. Um, from what reports are saying is that 98% of SAG-AFTRA have agreed or have voted yes. Um, Basically, it's the same stuff. It is against companies like Insomniac, Epic, Take Two, WB Works, VoiceWorks, Disney, all those for unfair wages and work for doing voices and mocap.
Yep, I actually have the full
And
list here. It's Activision Productions, Blind Light, Disney
mhm,
Character Voices Inc., Electronic Arts, Formosa Interactive LLC, Insomniac, Epic, Take Two, VoiceWorks, and WB. Yeah.
yep. Um, they are meeting with them soon uh, to see if they can strike a deal. If the deal does not go through, uh, they're going to go on strike.
Yeah. Not too much more to say about that except for
No,
I hope they get what they deserve.
yeah. I
As
mean,
in
the
the
writers got a nice package.
yes, they did.
Um,
Um,
and I hope all the best for everyone because they deserve it. It is literally 0.06% of the annual income of these companies.
yep,
Uh, I hope the best to them. Um, I, of course, will stand in solidarity with them.
yep,
Um, and I hope it, especially after the writing one succeeded. Hopefully tomorrow the acting succeeds. Um, and I hope that this just doesn't go to any kind of debates or strikes, and they just take care of it.
yeah, 100%. Totally agree with that. Um, Everybody should be paid a living fucking wage and shouldn't have to
Yeah,
worry about. I mean, we could,
you shouldn't make $16,000 a year for writing some of the greatest fucking fiction of all time.
yep, one time. Yeah,
One time.
yeah. Um, Next one comes from GamesIndustry.biz. Fan issues lawsuit over the canceled Knights of the Old Republic 2 Switch DLC. We kind of reported a couple weeks ago that the Switch DLC that was going to restore the Knights of the Old Republic 2 original content that was originally cut from the game,
Hmm.
that they decided not to make that. Well, because of enough people had already played for it, it has basically sparked a class action lawsuit. Um,
Okay.
what do
I
you?
mean, I was originally going to push back on it and say it's kind of dumb, but I didn't know there was the whole thing of like people have paid.
Yeah, it was backed already. Like there was people that
Yeah.
like backed it on Kickstarter and crowdfunded it, expecting that DLC.
Right.
And now they're not doing it.
How much is the lawsuit for? Do you have the number, or is there a number
Oh,
out there?
I don't see a number in this article that The Verge has, or
Okay.
that video games. Wow. Y- Let me see if I can find it again. Stand by.
I'm looking to. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing any kind of dollar amount.
See. Let me see if Video Games Chronicle has it, because that was gamesindustry.biz that had it originally. Um, no
Yeah,
numbers yet.
no.
But I mean, yeah, if you got enough people backing it, that's kind of bound to happen.
Yeah,
Unfortunately. Um, at least give them their money back, because I think they didn't even offer a refund. They were just offering like, hey, if you want to get one of the other versions of this game, you can.
no refunds.
Yeah, a thousand
Immediately do
percent.
refunds.
Yeah, 1,000%. You should pay back your backers if you're not doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Next one comes from The Verge. Bayonetta director and Platinum Games co-founder Hideki Kamiya is leaving the studio. This came after a lot of consideration based on my own beliefs, Kamiya said in a statement, adding that it was by no means an easy decision to make. If you don't know, he was obviously the guy behind Bayonetta, Beautiful Joe, and The Wonderful 101. Um, Platinum does hold a little bit of a special place in my heart, if you know where this is going, because
Mhm.
Platinum was the studio that did Near Automata. So underneath, Yoko Taro working at Square, but he was the writer, and then he brought on Platinum Games to help develop it. Um, but uh, Also, like I said, big guy behind Bayonetta, which I love the Bayonetta series. Um, what do you think about him? I don't know if this is full blown retirement or if he's just ready to move on. Um,
Um, I'm gonna keep saying the same line I say every time we talk about someone like this. Move out the old guard and bring in the new faces.
True, true.
Yeah.
Um, he did also. He first came to prominence. Working for Capcom, where he directed Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry, and Beautiful Joe.
So
So
he has a great
pedigree.
like
Yeah,
oh for sure. I think it's just time to step away.
yeah, for
Let the
sure.
new faces write some new games.
Yeah. I like how you put a little smiley face on this last one, on
Oh,
this
I
next one.
laughed at this so hard when I saw it.
This comes from Kotaku. So we kind of talked last week about, or the week before, that the iPhone 15 allegedly is going to be able to run modern games,
Hmm.
which I may actually be getting a new phone soon. You've seen my phone. Uh,
I've seen your
It is an
phone.
iPhone
It
10.
is time for you to get a phone.
And with all these people offering deals of trade your iPhone in any condition for the next one, I might finally do it.
Mhm.
Um, but apparently, the Resident Evil 4 remake is going to cost $60 on iPhone.
That's ridiculous.
Um, I get it because it's $60 everywhere else.
Mhm.
However, if I was going to spend the money on this game, I would not be buying it on my iPhone. That
No,
was kind of my take. What do you think?
no.
Yeah, I mean,
First off, maybe pay $60 if it's on like for like the Switch version of it to take it mobile. But that's the thing. Like, just for comparison, here's the size of my phone, right? Right? iPhone's probably gonna be roughly around that size. That's the size of the Switch.
yeah, yeah.
The Switch OLED. Like, I it's
This
not
is
a big
my
enough
this
screen
is
for a
my
$60.
iPhone 10 Max. So cuz I'll probably get a Max because I have
Mhm.
big thumbs and big hands.
Yeah.
So even then, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um I don't see the, like, I don't understand why all these companies are trying to like push this whole, like, we need to have our games run, or Apple specifically, I guess, is like, we need to have modern games run on the phone. I'm like, I don't, who is this
My
for?
Apple wants money.
I know they
That's the
want
only
money, but
reason.
who anybody who knows even the slightest about games isn't going to go for it.
Listen,
E-
all I'm saying is it is not meant for the people who know anything about games. When I was a child with my third generation iPod Nano, I got suckered into buying Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh,
The first
jeez.
playing on that little
So
dial wheel.
you're the problem. No.
I'm the no, people like me back in the day who didn't know shit, children are the problem.
Yeah.
And it
Um,
it is it is predatory behavior. That's all I'm gonna say, man.
yeah, I just don't see it. Even I can't even picture casual gamers even paying that if they have a console doing it. Like I can't
But
picture it.
also, battery life on an iPhone's already not the greatest,
Mm-mm.
and you're gonna play a AAA title with pretty intensive graphics.
Trust me, someone who's been an iPhone user for the
Goodbye to your battery.
last 3 phones has been an iPhone. I've
Mhm.
had like 2 Droid phones and then I've had 3 iPhones. Yeah,
Yeah.
battery life lasts.
Oh, not even to mention Apple's wonderful practice of when the next couple phones come out, they start sending out software updates to where your battery life and your performance just tanks.
Yeah, yeah. And I also love like when Apple likes to be like, "Hey, we have this feature now that the Droid phones had like 3 generations
Yeah.
ago, but they act like they invented it."
But hey, listen, you know what? I will shit on Apple all day, but I gotta give them a little credit. I mean, their ease of access, they're very user friendly.
Yeah, that is the one thing I will say as someone who's used both an Android and an iPhone. I do still prefer the iPhone, which is why I kind of stay with iPhone because it's just so
That's
easy to
fair.
use.
Also,
Um,
the connectivity with like everything.
yeah. The one thing I would say is if I were ever to switch off of an iPhone, uh, I would get a Google Pixel.
That's what I got, and they're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I'm not a
Mhm.
big fan of the Galaxies. I but the Google Pixel I feel is like the closest parity to the
It's very
iPhone
good.
in my opinion.
Very good.
Everything that I've seen on it when I've messed with one, yeah, I
Mhm.
like those ones. So if I was ever to switch off an iPhone, that would be the one. But I don't
Yeah.
see me switching off iPhone because everything I have is for the iPhone and
Mhm.
yada yada yada. I even have AirPods now reluctantly because my one earbuds died. Um, because wireless in general just sucks. But
Speaking of sponsor, Raycon. No, just kidding. We don't have a sponsor.
um, sponsor Sennheiser. No.
Mm, Jesus.
Hey. Actually,
Someday.
if I really
Someday.
wanted to go there, I'd be like sponsor Focal. No one's ever heard of Focal. I'm the only person who's heard of Focal. The
I'm
next
sure we can find.
one, yeah, maybe
Mm,
someone's got broken ears like
yeah.
me. Um,
Yeah.
Next one's kind of on the Capcom front too. Also comes from Video Games Chronicle. Capcom's president thinks its games should cost more. Now, I will say that um, Capcom is one of the publishers who has yet to start charging $70 for their games. They have been charging
Mhm.
60 across the board. Um, but honestly, I've been kind of saying this for years. With what you get and how much it costs to develop games, it doesn't surprise me that video games aren't more. Your big AAA.
Yeah.
As much as it would hurt our wallets, it would suck. At the same time, I get it. As somebody who was trying to be on the other side of it for a little while. What do you think?
Uh, yeah, I mean, sure. There's a lot that go into these games. I mean, the last price hike I can't remember was probably more than 10, 15 years ago for games. So
Yeah, the
it's probably well overdue to be past $70. But my thing is make better games.
yeah, I would follow that up with give these developers more time to make
Oh
better
yeah, give them proper
games.
time. Stop doing crunch. Fuck
Yeah,
crunch.
because we've seen time and time again, studio goes to publisher and says, "We need more time." Publisher says, "Fuck you, put it out anyway." Game does bad. Publisher says, "Why didn't you tell us?" And we said, developer says, "We tried telling you." And then publisher says, "We'll lay off a bunch of people."
Yeah.
So, um, I do have sympathy with that, but yeah,
There's a wonderful world or word for that, and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Unionize.
yeah,
Fuck this shit. Fuck this predatory, like borderline contractual like work that's in the video game industry.
oh yeah, 100%.
Unionize and fuck this over.
Yeah, fuck them. They don't have the talent to make the game. They just have the
No.
money. That's it. That is the only thing they're contributing. Like, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
your paycheck, but also it's your paycheck. Like, fuck
Like
them. Like,
I'm glad that they bankrolled pretty decent games. They didn't make it. You put in the work.
yeah, yeah. And yeah. But yeah, the last price hike I was gonna say was the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era. It jumped from 50 to 60. And then it
Hmm.
was 50 to 60 through that whole, or that was 60 that whole generation, and then 60 all last generation too.
Yeah.
So now we're just getting that $70 price hike. And it's not even from everybody. It's from certain studios that finally said, we're gonna start hiking this up. And you know what? Whatever, you know? It is what it is. I mean, I'm just smart with my dollar, and I trade in what I can trade in when I'm done with
Hmm.
it, or I keep what I want to keep, and if
Hey,
I
you want to know what's also really great to look into? Indie titles.
yeah, you know what
They
also
often do not sell for that market price. Sea of
right.
Stars is $34.
Right, right, and especially with, like, that B tier game disappearing, like, you had a lot of those B tier games, like, back on, like, the PS2 era and stuff that were, like, a
Hmm.
little bit cheaper, but the indie games have filled that space, and there's so many good indie
They're
games.
good.
I mean,
Sea of Stars is a triple A quality game for $34.
I played Season this year, and it's still literally a tie. It is literally going to come down between that and Final Fantasy 16 for my game of the year.
Yeah, that's
Season's
how
a
Sea of
tiny
Stars
little
is to
game.
me.
Outer Wilds is still one of my favorite games of all
Fuck,
time.
I will even say Stray.
Stray
Like,
was really good.
Stray was
I
great
felt like
game.
it got overhyped a little bit, but
I can say
it was
that,
still
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good. Um, Umurangi Generation, I know that's a really weird one that
Mhm.
no one's ever fucking heard of, but that's on the Switch now. Great fucking game. Yeah, I
Really
could go
good.
on and on. Neocab, Neocab's a little bit of a smaller, like, text adventure game, super fucking good. Hades
Yeah.
was smaller, super fucking good. Uh,
Party Animals
yeah,
dominating the
yeah,
charts right now.
yeah. So, also, if you're on Xbox, fucking Game Pass. Like,
Yeah. A
you
lot of
literally
these indie titles are on Game
well, a
Pass.
lot of big AAA titles are even on Game Pass
Yeah,
too.
that's me, that
So,
too.
like, if you already subscribe to Game Pass, you can literally try these games out and not worry about burning your wallet. Like, you can literally try them out,
No.
and if you hate it, you uninstall it. Like, that's it. I would love
Mhm.
for Sony to have a better version of theirs, but they're stupid. Um,
Yeah. I think we can save that discussion.
um, next story comes from Nintendo Everything. That's a great name for a
Mhm.
website.
Uh,
Um, Red Dead Redemption 2 Switch rating has appeared. This appeared in a Brazil ratings board. That Red Dead Redemption 2 could be coming to Switch. Um, what do you think of that? Because you
it's
don't
gonna
want me to
suck.
go into it.
It's
Oh,
gonna suck.
disgusting.
It's gonna suck.
Oh, it's gonna suck.
Very just it's gonna suck. It's gonna be very disgusting. Mortal Kombat 1, grotesque,
Oh yeah,
horrible. I like not even talking about just ports, triple like in-house games from Nintendo, their draw distance has to be so like pretty short to get really decent performance. I think Breath of the Wild did it best, even though there are sometimes things did look a little choppy. Pokemon, garbage. Draw distance in that is atrocious. If anyone remembers the pin or the God, what are they called? The giant wheel house thingies.
yeah.
Pinwheel, the bigger version of pinwheels. Uh,
Windmills.
windmills. Thank you. If anyone remembers the garbage look of those that are still not fixed a year later, um, they move like a second grader's PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
It is bad, and for a game that is arguably one of the prettiest games ever made, it's gonna be bad.
Oh, I'm cracking my back for this hot take here. Also, one of
Oh,
the
you
worst games ever made. Um,
okay? But that's not what we're talking.
I'm still salty about it. That's all it is.
Okay.
It's Red Dead is like Cyberpunk to me a little bit, but even more because Red Dead Redemption 1 was so fucking good. Red Dead Redemption 1 is still so fucking good,
Hmm.
and they made it worse. They made that game fucking worse. The meandering, the slow pace. It's like you took Red Dead Redemption 1 and ran it through molasses. And
Okay.
that, mm, maybe if they wanted to do Red Dead 1, I would be cool with that. And it would probably run better on the Switch.
Yeah.
But I'm not that excited about Red Dead Redemption 2 because I don't really like Red Dead Redemption 2. It was one of those games that when I finished it, I'm glad I finished it for the story because I will say this, amazing character performances, amazing story. Yes,
Hmm.
it was a very beautiful looking game.
Yeah.
When I got through it, I said to myself, I'm so glad I finished that. I am so glad I don't have to play any more of this because the act of playing it was what put me off of that game. Like
Hmm.
it got to the point to where it felt like playing that game was a fucking slog and a fucking chore. Like I wanted to play more of that to see the end of the story, but every time went to play it, I was like, can I just like, am I almost done with this game? Like, I would love to see the Red Dead Redemption 2 movie. I would
Hmm.
not want to play this game again. Um, there's my Red Dead rant. Let me let's do that just in case. Um, Next one comes from Game Informer.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why they're doing this, especially after Lord of the Rings Gollum was a nightmare, but apparently Lord of the Rings Tales of the Shire is in development. Um, Tales of the Shire is a cozy new game set in Lord of the Rings universe, and it's coming out sometime next year. Developed by Weta Workshop, the New Zealand-based special effects and props company that worked on Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movie trilogy, and published by Private Division, Tales of the Shire promises to let player live their best cozy hobbit life.
It is a farming simulator, and I am on board.
I had a feeling you were going to
I
say
am
that.
on board.
I
I don't care. I'm gonna be a little hobbitses walking around, farming with my big hairy feet. If giant bearded wizards coming by and sell me fireworks, I will gladly eat it up. I don't even see that's the thing. Gollum sucked because it was a game about a character
that no one gave a shit about.
and no one gave a shit about. This is not based off of certain characters. This is based off of a race inside Lord of the Rings. Sure, they might do a little fan service where you like bump into Frodo and Merry and Bilbo and everyone. I just want to play a hobbits. I want to play a little hobbitses, and I want to farm with my big giant hairy feet.
Okay. Okay. If it's good and pretty, maybe.
Yeah,
And runs well, because Gollum didn't run well either.
this is
Um,
the Animal Crossing killer.
yeah. Bold words. I'm backtracking that too. This is bold words. This is the Animal Crossing killer. Um, yeah, that's funny. Last three stories here.
Uh-huh.
This one comes from Video Games Chronicle. Cal Kestis actor confirms that Star Wars Jedi 3 is in development during a Comic-Con panel. No
No
surprise.
surprise.
I
Oh
still
shit!
can't.
Hey, that wasn't planned at all.
No. I still it breaks my brain that the name of this franchise is Star Wars Jedi. Um, but whatever. Uh,
Explain.
well, I don't know. It's just weird. Like it was Star Wars colon Jedi colon Fallen Order, Star
Mhm.
Wars colon Jedi colon what was the last one? I
Survivor.
Survivor Jedi Survivor. Yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird title, Star Wars Jedi. But that's my hang up. It's more
Mhm.
just in my brain. But that was probably the least surprising thing I've heard. What do you think?
I mean, same.
Did you finish it? Did
Not
you finish
surprised.
Survivor?
Yeah, I beat the game.
And
Uh,
so did it end in a place where like there's definitely gonna be a third one? Yeah, I
yeah,
kind of thought
you
so.
knew you knew immediately that it was there was a room for a third story. I think it should be done after the third one. Because
Please, yes,
it's not for for Star Wars fatigue, but because it bumps up against A New Hope after that.
yeah,
Um, because we're catching up. It's the in between years between 3 and
3 and
4.
4. I
Um,
just want to see Respawn kind of do something new after this,
yeah, yeah,
like maybe
totally.
Titanfall 3. Um,
It's never
that's
gonna
my wish
happen.
list. I know, Dustin, it's
Never
never
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen, but
Apex makes them way too much money. It's
I
an insane
know,
universe.
I know.
Never gonna happen. Don't get me wrong. I am in the same boat, especially after Titanfall 2 getting a
Updated.
random ass update.
Mm.
And there's been they're dropping hints inside the game and stuff like that. So take it with a grain of salt. They could. They could. Titanfall 2, one of the best shooters I've ever played, and one of the greatest stories in any video game I've ever played.
It is by far the closest to a Call of Duty killer out
Yeah,
of all the shooters. I
I
mean,
just don't
it
think they
has
had the
Respawn, who used to have a bunch of ex Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 devs on it. So like,
yeah. It's also, in my opinion, one of the most like feel good shooters.
mhm.
Like just like the way it feels playing that game, it best out of any FPS I've ever played.
Wall running, king of wall running. It goes
Wall
to
running was
Respawn.
so much fun.
Oh, dude, the boosting and the wall running in Titanfall was so much like when
Mhm.
they added it into Call of Duty, it was so much slower. Except for
It was garbage.
in Advanced Warfare, it was good, but they didn't have the wall running. They just had the boosting. When they brought it
Mhm.
into Black Ops 3 with the boosting and the wall running, it was slow. It was like a
Yeah.
slow boost.
Mhm.
Yeah, Titanfall. um,
No, 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 no. Here's the thing. I'm gonna fight against that before I move on. This is my last point. No, don't do Titanfall 3. Why? Give us a new IP.
yeah,
Stop resting on your laurels. Make something new. Shock the world.
that would be cool. I would like that.
Yeah.
Do something other than
Respawn
Apex. Yeah.
Respawn does pretty decent with their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Do something new.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. I'm always cool with that though. I'm always cool with doing something new just to see what they're gonna
Yeah.
do. This next one comes from Kotaku. More bad news. This kind of is coming from the fallout of the everything falling apart with um Take Two or no Embracer. Sorry, with
Mhm.
Embracer because Embracer's who owns it. Epic Games is cutting a staggering 870 jobs, which is 16% of its workforce. They are also reportedly selling off Bandcamp. Um, wow, that
This is
is
ridiculous.
that is all because of an investment didn't go through. All because they didn't make that purchase of that Saudi Arabia company that I'm already forgetting the
That
name of.
that's what annoys the crap out of me. Is this was a garbage business decision, but you're taking it out on your employees when you as a business still make bank.
Yeah,
You're one of the highest earning companies in all of video games. Why are you laying off almost 1,000 employees?
yeah. This is my oh my god. I'm really trying not to do this here, but this is ultimately my problem with capitalism is that it always every fucking year it capitalism is a system based off infinite growth on a planet with finite resources. It's you can't grow for fucking ever. You
But
can't.
also, I mean, also just to add to it a little bit, video games have been around for 50, 60 years or 70 years. It's been around for a while.
Long time.
Yeah, I would still say video game development is still in its infancy.
Yeah, it really is.
And the downside of that is because like the downside with that is that there is no regulation set in place
No.
where like they're again unionize.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you get hired at Epic or at Activision or whatever, but because of how fast and loose a lot of these companies like do their work, even if you are actually an employee of this company, you might as well be considered a contracted contractor because to them you are nothing but expendable.
Yeah. What's shitty is like this was a shitty investment done by their parent company.
Yeah.
Like because their parent company fucked up with their money, 870 people lost their fucking jobs. Because they
Oh.
couldn't get more money from Saudi Arabia. That's ultimately what this comes. That's why this one in particular pisses me off. Is
I'm
like,
gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna get a little controversial. Stop going after blood money.
yeah, a thousand
Stop
fucking
going
percent.
after blood money
Thousand
because
fucking
all you're
percent.
doing is you're going after blood money. It didn't work out, and now you just killed a good chunk of your.
Yeah. And Epic is like one of the biggest studios that they have underneath them and biggest publishers they have underneath them. And they weren't even
Mhm.
safe from this. Like, this is tied for me. This is tied for me now with the Activision Microsoft thing because since the fall of this Embracer thing, we've just had every week another studio underneath them is laying off.
Mhm.
Volition closed. We have all this fucking bullshit that's happened because a bunch of fucking circle jerk jackoffs up in their ivory towers, wanted to make
Want
more
to
money,
spend
wanted to
billions of
spend
dollars
billions of
and it
dollars, and
failed.
it didn't work out. And you want to punish everybody else below you. Fuck you.
Mhm.
Fuck off. Eat a whole bag of dicks. End of rant. Um,
So next point, no, just kidding.
um, last one. Last story here comes from The Verge. And this is one that I caught real late. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna have to read a little bit of this article to kind of catch exactly why. But the NVIDIA offices were raided by the French Competition Authority. NVIDIA's France offices were raided by the country's competition authority over concerns about anti-competitive practices, according to the Wall Street Journal. Um, Looks like
I think
sources tell the Wall Street Journal that French authorities specifically targeted NVIDIA, which has been in demand for its chips. For its chips skyrocket in recent months, several companies, including Microsoft and OpenAI, have purchased thousands of the company's high-end AI chips to the power of large language models. I'm trying to see the. So yeah, it looks like the breach. Uh, Looks like they were just a bunch of anti-competitive practices. They're not going
Mhm.
into too much detail because it just says that they're rated.
I'm
Um,
sure we'll get more info in the next week or
yeah,
two.
so this is just kind of a small one that I threw at the end. The only thing I will say about this is we see how much fucking graphics cards are, and how much those always get hiked up. And I'm not even
Mhm.
really that big of a PC gamer, but I know you are. Um,
Yeah,
what do you
I
think
wanna
about
upgrade.
it?
Uh, I mean, it's shitty.
Yeah,
It's pretty shitty, only because it does seem, at least in the last few years, as a PC player, um, NVIDIA is just kinda like, we know a lot of people look to us as, like, the base standard, so we can fuck around, do whatever we want.
yeah,
If we wanna charge $1,500 for something, we'll charge
yeah.
$1,500.
I would love to see. Now this is just like my wish, because like AMD has caught up with Intel as far as like
Mhm.
their processors. I would love
Yeah,
to see AMD now next catch up to Nvidia with their GPUs and just offer like way better pricing because they already offer way better pricing with their CPUs than
and see,
Intel.
I use AMD.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I've always used, and it's great. It's
yeah,
still good.
yeah. Um, but yeah, we'll probably have more on that next week.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's the podcast. What do you
Woo!
got any plans for like streams this coming week? I know it's been a little hard for us
Dude,
to get in streams.
I
I'm
wanna get
just as guilty. So
I wanna get back into streaming only because, I'm officially done with the second job, so I have more free time.
woo
Uh
freedom.
Ooh, the only thing is that things gonna get a little hectic because, my wedding is in
Yes.
20 days.
We are going to be taking off some time for that. Yeah, his wedding is in 20 days, so that weekend,
Mhm.
we won't say the exact date, so you just count ahead, listeners. Um, but we will be taking that weekend off. I'm standing up
Mhm.
in that wedding, so I'm at least going to take that weekend off, and then Dustin is probably going to take even that next weekend off because
More than
I
likely.
want to. I want you to have your time off to enjoy your
Appreciate it.
time.
Appreciate
You
it.
deserve it. Everybody deserves it. Um, but yeah, so you're gonna be busy with that coming up.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess back to what originally was asked, I hope to get back into streaming.
Yeah,
I wanna play some Armored Core 6. Um, I'm looking at a few different things. I
Sea
will
of Stars,
say
Sea of Stars.
that's on the list, that's on the list. I will say, I'm just gonna put a forewarning out there. Um, if the video game strike goes through, I will not be playing any games from those truck companies. So if there's any big name titles that either I was playing beforehand or will be playing after the strike goes through, I will not be playing them on stream.
Valid, valid. I am going to hopefully get back to. I'm probably going to keep chipping away at Final Fantasy One on stream.
Mhm.
That's my plan for this week. I'm not really going to play too much more Mortal Kombat story on stream because I try to leave that open for people to see the beginning of the story, and then if you want to play it, you're not going to get spoiled. I might
Mhm.
do some of the conquest mode once I get through the story on stream. If I do finish Final Fantasy One this week, we will be moving on to Final Fantasy Two. And then the next real big game that I'll be playing on stream will be Super Mario Wonder. Um, that'll be the next big one.
Woo!
Um,
Fun.
and yes, I guess with that, um, You can follow everything that we do on Twitter and YouTube at _BlackBoxSignal. Follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/BlackBoxSignal. Dustin, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at DarPrimeVOTTV and Twitch at just /DariusPrime. And that's all I got for that. Oh, I guess TikTok. You can find me on there. DarPrimeVOTTV.
And I am on Twitter at chasing_chase, twitch.tv/ChasingChaseTV. I'm also on that new app called the Blue Sky. I think I'm plugging that because I'm trying to get more people on Blue Sky because fuck Mark Zuckerberg and fuck Elon Musk. But we're there. We're all there. You can catch us on every freaking podcast app at this point. We're pretty much everywhere. So, as always, until next time, stay safe, comrades.
Bye, guys.